I decided to jump on the trend or bandwagon or what haves yous of making a quilt jacket, except I don't really like any quilt jacket I've ever seen, but I like the idea of a quilt jacket because it's a blanket that you wear as a jacket. Like, that's what I do every morning when I wake up anyways, so why not make it into a more socially acceptable garment, you know? Then it's on purpose, then it's a style, then it's a thing that you are going for and you are doing. And people can't just be like, oh, you just rolled out of bed and walked out in public like this, huh? No, they think, oh, you got up, you picked out that outfit, you put it on, and you came out today looking awake and ready to go and warm as heck. Then you're just walking around with like this billboard of, hey, I made this thing that looks super professional. Because obviously you made that, because where would you get that from? So I'm gonna make a quilt hoodie with my own pattern. I'm gonna make a quilt to make a hoodie with. And initially I wasn't even gonna film the quilt making process because I thought that's gonna be so easy and so fast. There's no point to even film that. We'll have plenty of material just putting the hoodie together. I spent 2 days working on preparing squares. My husband was helping me because it's a lot of tiny little squares. And we're on day 3. I was as wrong could be about the speed at which this would happen. So, because it's gonna take so long, I think we're gonna do a 2-parter for this project. And this is part 1 of 2 of making a quilt hoodie. A super awesome, awesomest of awesomes quilt hoodie. This is technically day 3, where we just cut 1,000,000 squares and sewed them together to make a checkerboard motif. And this is me eating an outrageous amount of popcorn. By this time, I had to switch to PJs and was basically trying to squeeze out any of the energy I could muster for the rest of the night. The other motif we did was these stripes, which we cut in half and then combined 4 total halves to make a whole square. And that does not make any sense to me still. But I chose this because it was something that was relatively simple to do. Sew stripes together, cut them in half, sew them back together. But it results in a really complex looking motif that makes you look like really professional. And just like that, it's day 4 of, you guessed it, cutting, ironing, and sewing tiny squares. When I started designing this quilt, I got really excited about it and I thought, oh man, I'm gonna start this project and I'm never gonna wanna stop quilting. I'm gonna wanna do everything in quilts, and that's gonna be a problem because nobody else is gonna be interested in that much quilt stuff. Now that I'm actually doing it, and this is taking all week to make this small amount of material, I'm not so worried about getting an addiction to doing this. Maybe, you know, stick to some small baby blankets or something. Because this is so much work that we're trying to get to do something that I wanted to have done this weekend. It's not perfectly precision accurate on our little squares, aren't perfectly 100% lined up. So if you're one of those people who has to have everything perfectly lined up, avert ye eyes. This is not going to be that project. I thought it was going to be. I'm not going to lie. I felt pretty confident going into this, but just who has the time? We didn't have the time. That's who. I'm wondering at what point I'm gonna start having quilt nightmares. You know when you play a video game for too long and then you go to sleep and then you just see like the background of the video game on the back of your eyelids. I've also had that happen with work before on a job I used to have. So I'm just wondering at what point am I going to close my eyes and just see squares doing something, getting ironed, sewing, going through the serger. Maybe it won't happen because we're so close to getting this done like now. Could happen. We have fabric. Booyah! Look at this chunky boy. Very nice. Pretty excited. That took 7 days of my life that I'm never getting back. But you know what? I think it's gonna be worth it because She feels pretty nice, and I can't wait for it to be a hoodie so I can wear it. And putting the hoodie together is not going to take 7 days. It's not. There's no way it could take 7 days. The sewing machine didn't like doing this stuff. The serger didn't like doing this stuff, mainly because it's like, well, it was 7 days of sewing, so I had to clean it out 3 times, change the needles. I don't have any more needles. I had to order some more that are on their way for when we put this hoodie together. But I'm really happy that I spent the 7 days on it because I really like the colors, and I can't wait to put this comfy hoodie on my body.